Okay, you ready? Let's do it. You're listening to Chats from a Chair with me, Nick Dempsey, coming to you from my wheelchair. I speak with people who have a great story to tell, portraying the human potential, often in the face of adversity. Check out the Instagram page at chatsfromachair_podcast and let me know who you think I should have on and have a chat with. Also, don't forget to hit follow on whatever platform you're listening to this. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode. G'day and welcome to Chats from a Chair with me, Nick Dempsey. Today I have with me Corey Webb. Mate, thanks for coming in and having a chat.
No problem.
You were mentioning before that it's sort of pretty random to do two podcasts.
Yeah, I feel famous now. No,
Yeah.
no, it's a bit out of the old comfort zone, but I'm happy to do it for sure.
Well, this is the height of anything. It'll all be downhill from here.
No,
for you.
exactly, exactly.
No, thanks, mate. I came across your story on Instagram, that other podcast you did, and I just thought it's it's a pretty touchy story. Obviously, we'll get into that, but unique story of cancer within the family. So knew I had to get you on. So let's get into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Give us a bit of background information on your family. You got siblings or?
Yeah. So I'm a twin. I have a twin brother, and just me, mum, and my dad at the time, and we've got just the four of us up on the Gold Coast, and then I got family in New Zealand and other parts of Australia. But yeah, no, just the four of us.
And grew up on the Goldie.
Grew up on the Goldie, born here, and I guess one of the luckier ones to be born here.
One of the few ones. I reckon 99% of people I meet on the Gold Coast are not from here.
It's funny that growing up, you think everyone's pretty much from here, and then as I've gotten older, definitely I've meeting my partner and all her friends, and not a single one of them is from here.
Yeah. Do you find many people you meet are from here, or
no, definitely not now.
Yeah.
Being older, I guess a bit more open to talking and finding out more about people.
Yeah.
No, definitely a lot. I've got mates from New Zealand who moved here, like people I work with, and all over Australia. And the odd one is from born, raised here.
I hate it. I'm like, it's getting too busy. Stop moving here. But then I thought I moved here, so it's not really fair. But that's all right. Once I moved here, now everyone else stopped.
No, everyone else going to stop. There's way too many of us now.
Yeah, exactly. So as we touched on, there's a bit of cancer within the family, and as you mentioned, four of you, and your dad got some news that wasn't so good.
Yep.
What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I would have been about 7 years old. So back in 2002, my dad found a pretty large tumour on the underside of his leg, about the size of a grapefruit, I guess. And I guess because it's one of the more fattier parts of your body, or it was a bit more hidden until one day he was cutting his toenails or something on a stool and noticed a massive lump. And then me and my brother were pretty young and didn't really get to, I guess, feel the weight of knowing what that was and seeing it all unfold that well. And he found that news and kind of it all sprang into action. And that was kind of the first we've ever had in our family, or pretty much from what I can remember, anyone around us having cancer. And then so he had radiation, so that I guess was pretty chill compared to obviously seeing people with chemo and losing their hair and whatnot. So it feels a bit more, I guess it didn't feel as hectic as we were later to find out along the road. But
so they sat you down when you and your brother when you were 7 and told you then, or did they?
I'm sure they did. That's the thing. We were so young. I could barely remember that.
Right.
And then because he had that and he had it taken out and had radiation, and I guess they thought it was just going to be a pretty simple, not a simple one. It was he had liposarcoma, and it is a rare form of cancer, I guess, at the time. I think it's a bit more, a lot more people get it around now, and it's a bit more researched and whatnot. But he we found all that out, and then did all these radiation and surgery, and then it was kind of done and dusted and back to normal. And Yeah, he was clear for 5 years, and
Yeah.
then
What was that initial prognosis? Do you know? Like, do
as
they
in,
do they give you any news then saying like what the likelihood is of being okay? Or
yeah, I think it was kind of all clear because they opted. I don't know whether that was a family decision or whatnot, but at the time they just said I think radiation will be fine, and they thought that would kill it, and hopefully it would never come back. And yeah, so he was 5 years clear, and so that's kind of a pretty big milestone, I guess, to be like, oh, it's a pretty good chance of almost not coming back. And then yeah, at that 5 year mark, it did actually come back. So I think he was told it was going to be pretty sweet, and that was enough. But
yeah, right. And then it came back, so you would have been 12, 13.
yeah, 12,
Yeah.
13. So I do remember that. Yeah, it was funny. One of his mates, like I guess another father figure in our lives, took us out. Me and my brother, we went down to Burley Hill actually, and he got us a big like massive truckload of like potato gems, and I was like, this is so odd. Like,
Something's up here.
yeah, because like fair enough, it's nice, but I'm like, we never just hang out with you without dad, obviously, and it was nice, and we did that and sat there or whatever, and I'm guessing that was when mum and dad were probably finding out the news, and then yeah, me and my brother Blake um, got sat down in the lounge room, and yeah, pretty much told that it'd come back, and it was yeah, it spread. Oh, well, not spread, but at that time he had one pretty decent sized one in his chest. So yeah, and that was another yeah. The next chapter started, I guess.
What was there another prognosis then, or
He was told that oh he had the surgery for that, and then yeah this time he had I think possibly radiation and chemo. So that was kind of like got rid of that, um, and I guess it was a play by ear and touch and go,
yeah,
and he did all his treatment and whatnot for that tumor, and then I guess yeah, just keep a close eye on it, and then I not long after, yeah, it just eventually just kind of fully come back. So
just kept coming? Yeah,
yeah, so there was maybe a year or so, and then three popped up in his chest again.
yeah, right. Do you remember how you took the news? Like, was it?
Yeah, no, it was the first time, obviously, or not the first time, sorry, the when it first come back after the 5 years. Yeah, no, it was hard. Me and Blake would have been in about grade 9, or no, maybe grade 8. Sorry, so we just started high school. Um, I guess we kind of knew what was to come, but at the same time, the chemo was all new to us. So like seeing him sick with all the chemo, and then he had some pretty heavy scars and whatnot from the one taken out of his chest. The second time finding out, we knew it was pretty heavy, and that was hard because we were like, we had to go through all this again, and yeah, sad, but
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, so many people see their parents. I know, and especially your dad, as this like just figure that can't be hurt, and
yeah,
yeah, it's crazy to see him have to go through the treatment like that. I imagine that would have been shocking.
yeah, no, it was hard. In saying that, mum was a pretty good stone. Like she was a solid rock for both me and my brother, and kind of tried to keep our lives as normal as possible. I guess try to make it like we never obviously thought the worst, and still pretty young and naive. Just kind of kept our lives pretty normal, and when I kept our day to day, kept us busy, school, sport, everything, and then yeah, he obviously kept a strong face in front of us, but
Yeah, you imagine behind closed doors there would have been a bit
yeah,
more of a struggle going on. But I imagine as a parent, that's what you do, isn't it?
exactly, yeah. As I've gotten older, I've come to realize more of a it would have been real hard, and yeah, they must have definitely kept a lot of it away from us for sure.
Yeah. So that was when you were about 13 or so,
Yep.
and then, like we mentioned, it took a bit of a turn.
Yeah.
You got some news of your own.
Another turn. Yeah. So 2010. I was just leaving a mate's birthday. We just had dinner at his house during school day, so it wasn't anything massive, and we were pretty young. But yeah, so I was on the way home in the car, and I'm guessing I think mum and dad would have been there, and Blake would have been sitting beside me, and I was sitting in the car, and just happened to yawn and put both my hands on my jaw for some reason. And as I yawned, a massive lump on the left hand side of my face protruded like just underneath my ear, and I thought it was a bit odd because it was a lot. I guess your jaw's double jointed, and you can kind of feel movement in your jaw when you usually do it yourself. But then I was like, one side's a lot bigger than the other, so I got home and I guess told mum, and I was a bit worried about that, but I knew with obviously the history, mum would be pretty straight onto it and be like straight. We're going to the hospital tomorrow, getting X-rays, everything, and so that was when I first found the lump.
Was, is that like, obviously you said like you with the history in your family, did your mind go there straight away?
I did a bit. Like I definitely was worried, but at the same time, I was just like, nah, like no way that
Couldn't be.
they couldn't. Yeah, I was like, Dad's had it, especially by that time he'd had it like 2 or 3 times. So, and that severely, and I was just like, that's just unfair.
And how old were you then?
I was 14.
Yeah, right.
I was. We were turning 15 that year, but I'm not till the end of the year, and I was 14 years old in grade 10. So yeah.
Right. So then rushed off, got X-rays, and
It was a bit of a waiting game. We straight away got X-rays and scans and had the CTs and MRIs, and that was about January, February of 2010, and then scans come back. There was obviously a tumor there or a lump of some sort, and mine's Ewing sarcoma, and that's of the bone. So same family as my dad's, just happened to be, but his was in his fatty tissue and mine was in my bone. So could see there was a lump there, obviously, and obviously not too sure if it was cancer by that time yet. And then so I did a few more scans, and then taken straight up to Brisbane where Dad was getting his treatment done to get looked at by surgeons and that to see what it would be. And had a few biopsies. First biopsy actually come back all clear. They did it through the inside of my mouth, and he mustn't have taken a good enough chunk of it to get a good test of it. And then luckily he wasn't happy with that, so we had another one through the outside of my jaw, and then come back malignant and cancerous. So that was where it all started again.
Shit, and especially to get that first initial one where they're like, "Oh, we think it's all good," would have been a bit of relief. But then
no, exactly. I was like, fair enough. I think Mum and I'm glad the surgeon as well was kind of like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
And Mum was probably definitely like, no, we definitely want to make sure of what it is. So that is horrible as it is to go from yes, it's nothing to yes, it is something. But I'm I guess forever thankful that we did do another biopsy.
Yeah, if it had been left for longer, who knows what could have happened. And so you said it's a similar school to your dad's or similar group.
Yep.
Is there correlation between?
Yeah, so that was a massive thing. Because he first got his after I was born. Don't know whether that makes much of a difference, but it wasn't like he had it before I was born, and I was born and might have had the gene or whatever for it. But doctors reckon because they're not completely different, same family, but his is of his fatty tissue and mine's off my bone. They reckon it isn't hereditary, but I find it hard to believe, to be honest.
It's a big coincidence.
Yeah,
it's not, isn't it?
Yeah, and then later on in life, actually, like his father ended up passing from a cancer, but that was I don't think it was the same cancer, but
okay. So being between the either fatty tissue or the bone, is there one that's seen as being more aggressive or worse or anything? Or that you know of?
I feel like his probably was. I guess I guess they're both horrible.
Yeah, there's no good cancer.
No, exactly. That's exactly right. But his from what I've seen, his and her like through the community of it, the liposarcoma is definitely probably a bit more aggressive.
Right. So then you started treatment. Is it?
Yeah. So found out it's cancerous. Started treatment. Had the same oncologist as him, and his was an adult, like more of an adult oncologist and whatnot. But I guess because they knew he was going through it and been there for a while now, he was happy to take me on as well. And straight into it, straight to chemo, and that was year 10. So I was 1 week on, 1 week off of chemo. So I pretty much missed all of year 10. And Yeah, so I did that for about, I guess, from maybe like March to like June, and then I was in for surgery.
Yeah, right. So were you literally going in for cancer treatment with your dad, like you going
Okay,
together,
yeah,
or
yeah. So it was because Dad, by that point, his one was kind of getting. Uh, they couldn't operate on the three that he had in his chest, and it was kind of more of a. It got to the point where it was kind of like definitely going to be terminal, and at that time he wasn't really sick or anything, but it was more just he was experimenting with heaps of different chemos, and so he's ended up. Luckily, I guess we only had about 1 week where we actually did sit with each other and have chemo together. But he was on and off doing different things and had to have like longer stints in between chemos or trying different drugs and whatnot. But yeah, luckily didn't have to do too much of it with him. But I do remember for sure sitting there with him one time, and that was pretty hard. But it was also comforting at the same time.
yeah? Well, that's what I was going to say. Obviously, having there's so many layers to this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's one thing to have him go through the experience and being able to lean on him.
Hmm.
That would have been comforting to some extent.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I think that definitely helped, and also being young and naive, like I said, knowing what was ahead. I guess when it all started, it was a big help. I reckon. I guess I was pretty positive through it all, and I just also just thought like nothing could happen to me. Like I was just like, nah, I'm.
Typical young male,
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
yeah,
I was like,
bulletproof.
I might have this, but I'll be fine. Like,
Yeah,
and having him there as well and seeing everything he'd been through, and he handled everything pretty well. Like up until the end, yeah, he was pretty strong, and I guess at the same time it was good to kind of have someone so close to be like knowing what's happening, and also like we've got Mum on the other hand trying to keep us healthy and do everything, and
yeah,
he'd be like, "Come on, let's go to KFC."
yeah.
But and when we weren't supposed to eat certain things, he'd be like, "Nah, stuff it, let's go do it." And nah, he was good. It was good. It not that anyone wants to have cancer with their father or anyone in their family, but I think it did help for sure. It was
Yeah. So what was the feeling like? The difference in emotion between finding out your dad has cancer or finding out that you yourself have cancer.
yeah, it's funny that finding out. Yeah, I feel like I don't think I was probably the doctors and that. I guess being a bit pretty young still, probably told my parents separately to me, and then I think they had to kind of relay it onto me. It's hard to explain. I can't fully remember the moment I was told, but I'm sure. Like I remember kind of getting told, like sat down and told about it. But I think it was probably already in my head a bit that I knew that it was going to maybe possibly come, and or that could be the case.
There wasn't
Like,
that one like stomach drop moment or something when it all
but
hit you.
I'm sure there definitely was, and
Yeah,
it's hard because it was obviously so long ago, and I think a lot of, not that I try and block it out, like I'm so fine obviously talking about it
yeah,
and whatnot, but I think I remember getting told and just like, yep, all right. Didn't I like? I think being young is just what helped me a lot. I reckon being this
yeah,
at this age, finding out, I reckon I'd be a lot worse with it
yeah.
all. I think being young and you just kind of be like, oh, all right, and then a bit more closed minded to all of it,
Bit
and obviously,
naive, like you said.
yeah,
Yeah,
and obviously seeing Dad go through it all, I'm like, oh, not that I didn't think it was bad, but I was like, oh, it can't be. I'm sure I'll be fine.
yeah. Well, like I said, it was a real team effort between your family all coming together and dealing with it. But yeah, can't imagine as a obviously a parent going through it, you want to take all the pain away from your kids, they
Yeah,
say, and
definitely.
then from your dad going through it to then you going through it and your mum dealing with those different emotions and your brother, it's bloody, it's a lot going on. As I said, it has to be a team effort in that case
Oh,
for the family to pull together, and not one person on their own can deal with all that.
100%. And like I think, like you said, your dad found a way of like doing the charity work and whatnot for yourself. I think Mum definitely found that as well. She also was a big part of a foundation that had a lot to do with the sarcoma, which is the cancer we had. And but obviously not only that, was also at the hospitals with me and Dad. And Dad was great. Like obviously he by my side the whole way, but he was fighting his own battles at the same time. And but Mum, yeah, Mum was solid, and yeah, she's a massive massive part of it all. And twin brother Blake, yeah, he was good too. But like I said, definitely try to keep his life as normal as possible. We were still in school, we were pretty young, and yeah, it's pretty doom and gloom at the old hospital. So
Yeah, they're not happy places. No.
not at all. But yeah, he obviously come and saw me every now and then, and but I was happy for him to live his life and kind of keep doing what he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. He hasn't had any scares or anything
No,
himself.
it's funny that I've been in and out of hospitals, whether it was to do with this or when I was younger, I had like ear problems and that, and I had other things when I was born. Like me and my brother were both born 3 months early, but we didn't have any major problems from that. But yeah, I've been in and out of surgeries when I was young and whatnot, and he only had his first surgery on his shoulder because he popped it out boxing like last year. So it was weird because he was so worried. He's like, I'm going in for surgery, like, and I was like,
Mate, you're fine.
yeah, and I even was like, you haven't had surgery before? And I was like, I'm your brother. I was like, I've done it that many times. It doesn't, not that it's still daunting, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, it's
That's
surgery.
what I'm like now. They would need to do a
Yeah.
little procedure. I'm like, yeah, righto.
Yeah,
Had
get
enough
in.
stuff done to me.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
exactly. And then for him to like fully be worrying about getting an injury that he's just done to himself,
Yeah.
tiny little surgery, I was like, God, I guess it's a bit daunting, but
Telling you to get over it, did you?
yeah, I was
typical
like,
brother.
yeah,
Just,
move on, mate.
yeah.
You did this to yourself.
Yeah. Um, right. So obviously, while you were going through treatment, like you said, your dad got to the point where it was pretty much terminal. He was told, so he wasn't receiving treatment. How long was he? Did he survive before?
Yeah, yeah. So I had mine all in 2010. So I pretty much start to finish. It all kind of it was all in the 1 year. And yeah, I did a few different things. I did chemo surgery, went back onto chemo, and then at the end I did a stem cell transplant, and got all that finished. That was pretty heavy at the end, and then that was just to kind of kill every cell in the body, and then I get stem cells put back into me, and then that kind of like brings everything back to life. And then that was just to kind of clean everything up, make sure no cancerous cells were growing and whatnot. And then yeah, so then back to school the next year, and was lucky enough to stay didn't have to get kept back. They just asked if I wanted to go to uni or not, and I was like, oh, I'll do a trade. And they're like, all right, you can stay in your grade. If you wanted to go to uni, you're getting kept back, mate. And then yeah, so we had it 2011, and then yeah, 2012 kind of obviously it went up and down a bit. There was a few I guess chemos and whatnot would shrink and change the shapes of his tumours, and then yeah, some things would come good, some would get worse, better. And then yeah, so me and Blake were at schoolies, and end of 2012, and it was going pretty downhill. And then yeah, there was a few. He got put into hospital when we were at schoolies, and he was still doing okay. And then yeah, maybe a couple of weeks later, it kind of just hit real hard, and then yeah, in November 2012, he ended up passing away.
Yeah, shit. So it went pretty downhill quick.
Yeah, it was very quick, but at the same time, I was kind of prepared for it. Obviously, a fair few years of him battling with it, and at the same time, it's a lot of pain to be in and to see someone in.
I mean, you never want, obviously, your father or any family member to pass away, but
Yep.
yeah, I imagine there would have been that little bit of, at least he's not in pain anymore, was
No,
there?
exactly. Yeah, 100%. I think about it a bit, especially when people talk about, I guess, family members that pass and different ways. It's horrible. Obviously, they're in pain, but it gives us a bit of time to also say goodbye and be prepared for it. And then obviously, yeah, it's horrible at the same time to see him in so much pain. But I think it would be also very, very horrible for him to just suddenly, if it was in a car crash or something horrible like that.
You look for the comfort in those positive things that you were able to
Exactly,
say
yeah.
goodbye and have your time together, and
Yep.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. No, I imagine he would have felt the same
Yep.
sort of thing. But so he passed away. You were clear by that stage, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was all clear by then, and yeah, ever since, yeah.
So do you still have to go get checked, or?
Yeah, I had pretty much my last checkup this year. They usually stop around 10 years, and that would have been in 2020, but kind of wanted to keep going just to make sure.
Yep.
But it got to the point where they just said they can't, because I would get a chest X-ray every. At first, it was a bit like every 6 months, and then in the later years, it was every year. And I guess they don't obviously want you to have too many X-rays with all the radiation that going through you.
Yep.
So they were just doing blood tests, and then my oncologist had retired, so I was with someone else, and she was just like, just keep doing blood tests, I guess, with your GP, and just to make sure your bloods are all good.
Have you had any scares or?
No, nothing like that.
Nothing?
Thank God. I used
Touch
to be,
wood.
I used to be so fine with getting checkups, and then I guess as I've gotten older again, I was just like a bit more worried. And time's going on, I do get a bit scared, but no actual scares. No, there was nothing. Nothing's popped up. I've been lucky enough that I've been in pretty good health ever since.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. When you're waiting for the results, do you still get a bit nervous?
Yeah,
even after 10 years? Yeah.
Because like with my old oncologist, I kind of found him out straight away. But then when he retired and I had this new oncologist, she would kind of get all my tests done on that day. So then it was more like we'll ring you if anything's bad. And I was like, got to go home and like wait the next week and to see if anything's going to pop up.
Every time the phone rings, you shit yourself.
Yeah, legit. I was just like, please don't call, please don't call. And then there'll be no calls. And then a part of me is like, has she even looked at the test? Like, can you at least call me and say everything's all good?
That's the thing. Like, did they forget to call me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But no, I've been lucky enough that everything's all good.
No, that's awesome, man. 10 years plus now, isn't it? 10 years plus.
Yeah. It'll be 13 years at the end of this year. So, it's all done. So
yeah, throw a party. You know, every year celebrate.
Come on, boys, get around.
Yeah, why not? Excuse to do it. No, that's awesome, man. To make it that long. Yeah. Just like I said, so many layers to that story. But I mean, like you said, for a family to be able to pull together in such tough times, for your dad still to be able to play a role helping you through your battles while he's still battling, it's an amazing story of resilience, story of your family pulling together, what's capable when everyone does pull together.
Yeah,
but
thank you.
It's awesome. But I got one more question. One I'm ask everyone that comes on. I actually got asked it. I got asked it today by someone else, and I had to answer it. So I thought I'm going to start asking people that.
Yeah.
But what is something in your life that you're most proud of?
Proud of?
Not that something else that made people proud or that you think people would be proud of, but something just in yourself.
In myself?
That you're most proud of.
And I think with not even to just relate it back to that, but also with that, I think I guess the outlook on everything. I guess you have horrible days, like just normal days at work or whatever, and you might be in a horrible mood. But I think the way I handle things usually is I think it's helped a lot. And not that I don't think I've ever set out for it to be, but just the way, like with all that, I just kind of never really looked at the bad side. Like, I guess there's obviously a lot of reason, plenty of people have different reasons to be upset and think the world's the worst. But I think for sure, the way this sounds so weird to kind of like feel like I'm talking about myself, but I am proud of how I guess have an outlook on certain things and life, and I guess a lot of things could be worse or
being able to, once you've been through something a bit bigger like that, you have a different perspective on things where you look at other problems and you're like,
no, for sure,
that's not really a problem. Does it piss you off with some of your mates might get upset about something little? Or?
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, yes, I guess you hear about like arguments between people and whatnot and just little problems, and you're just like it's nothing.
It's so minuscule, but then people are only as resilient as they've had to be in their lives. So it's a same sort of thing. Sometimes like you get pissed off, but then you think, oh well, if you haven't experienced anything worse, that is a big problem to you. So
I guess so.
It's tough, but to be able to take that, what you've learned through your battles, and take that into the rest of your life, and be able to apply it to different situations, I reckon, that's an awesome outlook to have, and it'll hold you in good stead, I reckon. If everyone can take a little bit of advice from that, don't worry about the little things.
Exactly.
Get the fuck over it. No, thanks so much, mate. It was
thank you.
Pretty, like I said, touchy story. I'm sure would have hit some people in the fields, that one.
Yeah, no, it's nice, I guess, to get it out there, and because like I said, I haven't really talked about it other than this year when I've been on your podcast and the podcast before. And yeah, to even just get it out there and let people know about, I guess, my story and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it is nice, I guess.
Encourage people if they do have any abnormalities that they think could be get checked out. It's
definitely.
not
Keep
worth it. Yeah. Keep on top of it, and if you're going through something similar, hopefully you get a bit of hope or bit of I don't know, resilience from Corey's story. So, mate, I'm sure people out there have been touched and helped. So, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, there's a story from Corey Webb, quite a amazing story of a family pulling together and what's able to be accomplished when you are able to lean on other people. Obviously, a terrible situation with his dad having cancer and then himself being diagnosed and at one point actually receiving treatment at the same time is quite extraordinary. But as I said, if you are able to lean on each other and all pull together, it can make a massive difference. So hopefully that's a little message. If there is someone out there that you know going through a tough time, maybe just something you can do for them will make a big difference. But if this episode has brought up any adverse feelings for you, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Remember to check in on each other and that it ain't weak to speak. But that's it for today. Check out the Instagram page to find out when the next episode's released, and I'll see you back here next time.